Hey everyone, welcome to Aprimo's Breakthrough webinar series. Today we're going to be talking about Marketing Agility 2020 and putting our goggles on. We're going to do an Agile marketing retrospective of 2019, taking a look back at this wonderful year and predictions for the roaring 20s. We have with us today Andrea Fryrear. She's the president and lead trainer at AgileSherpas. We also have Ed Breault, our very own CMO at Aprimo.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Hello.
And as I mentioned, we are on the Breakthrough webinar series. So what is Breakthrough? Breakthrough webinar series is geared to help marketers break through their organizational barriers to digital transformation. We want to teach, inspire, and help you break through with any change in your org and chart a path to success for digital transformation. Some housekeeping. If you wanted to check out our other Breakthrough webinars, you can go to aprimo.com/breakthrough-webinar-series. If you have any questions, we'll gladly take them and answer them at the end. So just pop them into the go-to webinar on the right. And then all recordings and slides are posted on our website, and they will also be shared with you via email. Also, if you're a social type of person, please do follow us at Aprimo on your Twitter, at LinkedIn, and look for the Aprimo Breakthrough hashtag. So without further ado, I'll kick it off to Andrea and Ed to talk about some Agile.
Thank you, Aran. Hello, Andrea. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited. I love me a good retro.
I know, at the end of a fiscal year too, right? I said, well, you and I see each other. You're walking off stage, I'm walking on stage, through the airports. It's awesome to see you on the screen, even though we can't see each other live. But yeah, busy year. And so I was really excited. We had to tackle this topic, right? I look back at 19.
You can't let a big thing like 2020 come around without looking back, looking forward, doing all the things.
Exactly. So I'm excited for today's topics and breakthrough, right? I've worked with many organizations, enterprise level, et cetera, over the last 20 plus years, and there's just things that happen. There's an individual, there's a spark, there's that one person who they feel that energy within them to change, right? They know something needs done, they stand up, they show up, and they take action. And agile marketing, agile, the way we do work is one of those potential major breakthroughs.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think 2019 has been a very big breakthrough year. Like we've learned a lot and done a lot, and the agile marketing movement is really maturing. I think the next decade is going to be a very exciting time for marketing operations and process nerds.
Exactly. I mean, those who want to take advantage of time and space and productivity and volume, velocity, all that good stuff we're going to get into. So the format today, so thanks for playing along, Andrea, is we're going to do a retrospective of the year. Do you want to give the audience just a quick definition of that terminology within the agile marketing space?
Yes. So the retrospective is the time when we deliberately pause and stop and think about process. What should we stop doing? What should we start doing? And what should we continue doing in order to make a process work better in the future? A Scrum team would do this potentially at the end of every sprint, a Kanban team maybe at the end of a larger project or a release. We're going to do it at the end of the fiscal year. So we have a lot to cover and several topics to think about what we want to start, stop, and continue doing in 2020.
Yeah, so I want to share something of yours really quick. It's your book that I consider a must read for any marketer, those who manage process, those who they've heard this agile marketing thing. So this book is Death of a Marketer. It's written by Andrea. It's amazing, brilliant. My whole team's read it. It got us started. It was a primer to spark change, to break through. And you're actually working on another book currently,
That's
correct?
That's right. Mastering Marketing Agility, coming out in June of 2020. So kind of the next level beyond the primer. What's happening next?
Phenomenal. Looking forward to that. So let's get into this retro. But before we do that, I want to tee it up with some concepts, things I've learned from you, things I've learned from the market, things I've learned from my customers of Aprimo who use Aprimo to run Agile, to find volume, velocity, and all these, look at these the value propositions of Agile, right? Optimizing resources, increasing visibility. I like to say sunlight's the best antiseptic. If you can see it, you can manage it, right? If it's invisible, you can't take the action.
Right.
Improving business discipline, time to market, volume, velocity, quality, speed, increasing these early learnings. That's one of the things I learned from you, Andrea, which is it's all about getting the quicker to insight, the faster to innovate, the faster to optimize. So don't always go for perfect, right?
Right. Good enough for now, the Geffen acronym.
Oh, I like that. Really good. So, I mean, the value proposition for Agile is certainly there. And one of the things, as I look back, is that, you know, some words of caution, right? There can be a lot misunderstood, right? There's a lot of new terms. I read your book and researched and, you know, worked with great companies, and we're talking about things like Kanban and Scrum and daily stand-ups and sprints and burn down charts, retrospectives, backlog scrubbing. What is all that, right? All these terms come at you fast. And what I realized is that Agile marketing, you know, let's not get distracted by the big A on it, right? The traditional, but it's really just high performance marketing, period. Would you agree with that, Andrea?
Yeah, it's super true. And it is important for marketers not to get too in the weeds too fast in terms of, well, I have to do sprints and I have to do XYZ. I have to point everything and I you know, scope everything perfectly up front and some of these other things, because then you get kind of paralyzed. If I can't do all of that, I shouldn't do anything. When in fact there are lots of simple, straightforward ways to begin. And your process can be Geffen too. Your process can be good enough for now, and then you're going to make it better through retrospectives and other opportunities to improve and learn.
Excellent. And now, one of the things I also learned is that there's some true norths, a true north, but some around the true north, and it's some key metrics, right? Number one, efficiency. Number two, cycle time, throughput. I don't know if that's a stack rank, but these are like the key three that I've realized. You wrote about this, it's on your blog. You know, efficiency, the single most important metric for measuring success of Agile, right? And then within that, there's two metrics in there, right? The task efficiency score. And then when you take that and look at that at a team level, right, which is also really important. So the work, the person contributing to work, the role, then the team, you know, two different dimensions. Cycle time, right? Extremely important. In today's day and age, time is the difference between losing and winning and being first to market and being second, where, you know, that's not always the most optimal, right? Because whoever gets on the wave first is going to ride it, you know, the highest, so to speak. And then throughput, right? That is the team efficiency. Take that task score, and when that thing goes up and that throughput, and that cycle time goes down, right? The throughput is much higher. So it's those two key metrics in sort of a balancing act. Is that how you would describe that?
Yeah, they all work nicely together. So as you move one in the right direction, they all move together. And when they are being tracked appropriately, then you get this predictability. You actually know when you're likely to finish things, which is something that a lot of marketing teams just don't have.
Yeah, especially when you get asked the question, when's it going to be done? Where is it? And based on your fixed constraints in housing of, you know, creative teams and marketing teams, experience design teams, as well as your, let's say you have third party in the mix, you know, with a complex workflow process, knowing when things are going to hit so you can adjust, right? And then look at your priorities and move and pivot and, you know, be the most effective with how you manage your process. But it's these three KPIs that I think are what rose to the top. Like what I realized is that it's high performance marketing and it's very metric driven. I think we get distracted a lot by some of the terms.
Right. But it is like, are you able to do more in the same amount of time? Right? Can you get more out of the system than you previously did? And these are going to show you whether that's happening or not.
Excellent. So yeah, let's get into the fun part. Let's do a little bit of a retrospective on some topics. So there's 7 topics here that we're bringing to the table: expectations of Agile marketing, methodologies, culture, tech, and then we'll look at it, industry considerations. Some organizations have regulated products, et cetera. There's a lot of compliance involved there. And then the view of departmental versus enterprise and the whole scaling issue and where to start and how. And then let's land on measurement, because that's really, I think, the best loop closer and sort of the destination too. So let's get into expectations. What should we start? What should we stop? And what should we continue, Andrea? So I'll throw it out there first. I'm saying thinking results will be immediate, right? We need to stop thinking about that. What are your thoughts on patience in the process?
Yeah, I mean, there are quick wins for sure, but Agile is a long play. It's transformation at every level of operations. And so thinking that one sprint in, things are going to be magically perfect is unrealistic.
Yeah, and that's we're always looking for quick wins and we want it now, immediate gratification. But, I mean, you have to, number one, actually be good at project management and have a good project management discipline, right? You can't just say, I want to take Agile off the shelf and immediately I'm, PMP certified and I've got the discipline and all the experience, right? So I think it's know that you're going on a growth path. So start, I think, keep a focus on the why behind Agile marketing in terms of performance.
Yeah,
Thoughts on that?
That why is different for everybody, right? Like some of the teams that we coach will start going Agile after a really bad employee engagement survey, because they realize they're having a morale problem and turnover is going to be an issue. And some people, it's getting crushed by a competitor who has started being more responsive and they've got to come and play catch up. But your why is going to dictate what kind of practices you need first and whether you can start quickly or start slowly. The why dictates so much of that.
Excellent. Now let's look into 2020 and beyond. So I'm saying, let's continue evolving our goals, making Agile a journey. It's a journey. And sometimes there's good business, there's challenging. When I look ahead and I read all the research and I'm looking at the news and, I binge on analyst information and those predicting the future, right? There's some upturns and there's some downturns. And I think that what Agile can really do as we move forward is win in those turns, right? Whether it's up or down. What do your 2020 vision goggles say to you, Andrea?
Yeah, I mean, sadly, marketing tends to get hit hard in times of economic trouble. And if we're heading in that direction, Agile helps so much when you can do more with less and you can prove the impact of what you're already doing. So it's not, please don't cut my budget because that would be bad. It's here I can show you quantitatively the impact that our activities are having and how efficient we are. Like we're already stretching ourselves and doing as much as possible from an efficiency perspective. And you have all that information. And Agile is I think people overlook this about Agile a lot, is the visibility and the measurability that should come with a high functioning process. And so you're right, we need to continue thinking of Agile as that competitive advantage, regardless of what our economic fortunes might be in the next few years.
Yeah, and I think when times are good, start it, get good at it, and be prepared for whatever those turns may be, those surprises. So, all right, let's advance to our next one here. Let's look at methodologies. So, core. When you think of Agile, it's certainly there's multiple methodologies, and you're the expert at that. So I'm saying, let's stop taking pure play Agile off the shelf, plugging it in, and expecting amazing results. And I just mentioned it, but you have to perform, project management fundamentals well first. You have to have that mindset, that discipline, those skills as a practitioner, as a team with, clear owners, clear deadlines, and doing all the other things around project management, like managing scope creep. What are your thoughts on what we need to stop doing?
Yeah, I'm plus 100 on that. Like, we need to stop taking this copy paste approach. It's not going to work. That's actually the book is no more copy paste. Here's a custom Agile framework for marketers. Because so many times that's the feeling, well, Agile didn't work for us, but it was the software version of Agile didn't work for marketing. And of course it didn't. Like, it was not made for the type of work that we do. The values and the foundational components are much the same, but we have to be willing to do some adaptation and experimentation if we want all the benefits that Agile could potentially convey.
Absolutely. And that actually hit on my, what do we need to start doing? I'm saying we need to start acting as if we're students, right? It's this continuous learning process. It's not take the book, take the methodology, go and stay stagnant with it. There's a lot of things that are going to continue to evolve throughout 2020 as we move forward. We need to be students of these methodologies, of this craft.
Yeah, and it's not, that goes beyond just being a student of, like I was saying, of the out of the box methodology, right? It's not just read one article about Scrum and then you're done. There are so many aspects of it in terms of lean waste reduction and theory of constraints. Go find your bottlenecks and attack them systematically, and think about leadership development and individual professional development. What are the paths that people need to go on to be better contributors to a team? You could spend the rest of your career learning about this. I mean, there are coaches that have been working in Agile for decades that are still learning every single day. So it's a journey like everything, and education has to be at the forefront.
No more Scrum and done. I like that.
I like that.
Well, you said it, not me. All right, so 2020 and beyond now, I'm saying, explore what that right calibration is of the different methodologies and adapt it for you. So right size it. There's often, there's fixed constraints, and we'll get into some of these like culture, et cetera, but you have to, as you bring it into your org, as I brought it into my org, I had to say, there's a history here. There's ways we had been working, and this could be a significant change for some, and is the mindset of that organization able to take the change? But I think it's fitting, adapting, right, and constantly knowing you're trying to work to get it right, but it won't be right on day one.
Yeah.
What do you see in the future?
Yeah, I think my continue is for marketers particularly to think about how to bring people along with you. So bring stakeholders, bring internal partners, bring your agencies. Don't think you have to go this alone and optimize in a vacuum. Your system as a holistic entity works better when you can incorporate more components of it. And so as we become good students of marketing agility, we can share that with other people around us, and then they become more agile and everybody goes faster, and we remove some of the walls that we might otherwise run into.
Some of these walls, leads us to our next one. Let's talk about what I think, one of the more, or the most powerful forces potentially, right? Which is culture, which is people. And so I'm saying stop ignoring the power of culture. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you can't ignore it. I mean, I've definitely seen clients who say, well, we're just going to go, like, we're going to mandate agility and that's just going to happen, without doing any other attempts to acknowledge the potential pitfalls of their existing culture. You can't change it overnight, but you can use some of the agile practices to like chip away at some of the more solidified aspects of culture that may not jive with Agile. So yeah, I think don't overlook culture for sure, but also we should stop thinking of culture as an excuse not to do anything. Like there's a sense that we can't start because our culture is not 100% Agile. Well, it's probably not ever going to be 100% Agile. So start where you're at and things will get better.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest breakthrough opportunities. When I think about those who want to make a difference, those who are looking for Agile as that method to drive change, to drive forward progress. I think you have to attack the culture, and so start addressing it, right? Culture eats strategy for lunch. I love that statement, because I know that the emotional side of humans is still there in business. And so if you can harness that, that can be your most powerful source of how you get motivation, how you get folks moving, how you drive change. What do you think? What do we need to start doing?
Yeah, I think it's start using practices to chip away. So like basic things like visibility, get everything out in a backlog and on a board, and then none of the interruptions, none of the daily miscellaneous pivots or the kinds of things that distract us as marketers, none of those can be hidden anymore, and their real impact starts to be felt. That is a big step towards a more transparent and honest culture, right? So it's a practice that delivers on some of that cultural change. And so figuring out where the issues are in your culture and what Agile practices might solve them, I think that's a great place to start any kind of Agile journey.
Yeah, and then when we think about from a continued standpoint in the future, I'm looking at a lot of this modern workforce come into marketing organizations. These are, digital natives. These are individuals who grew up with technology all around them. They expect that as part of the culture, as part of the work environment, that technology will be there for them. And it's a couple of things. It's they're very values based, and they're looking for a high level of psychological safety. And I think that from a cultural standpoint, if organizations want to drive some of this and harness the power of this future workforce, and some of this new digital transformation that's hitting how work gets done, I think that's where you do it. Look at what are your values, how do you tap into the culture, and then do you provide that level of work and psychological safety? What do you see from a future standpoint, Andrea?
Yeah, I think we need to continue thinking about people, right? They're the foundational elements of any system, and I think you hit on it with some of these like digital natives, and then the newer members of the workforce have different expectations for what work is going to be like for them. They expect to be connected to purpose. They expect to have a high degree of autonomy over their work day, and the traditional kind of command and control, you show up and I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to do for the next 8 hours. It doesn't work anymore for so many reasons, but a lot of it is from the interpersonal level. And so to continue to support the individuals inside of an Agile system, I think is a big success point for people who are going to get this right in the next couple of years.
Cool. Let's transition here to something that can either be good for the Agile journey or a challenge for the Agile journey, right? It's the jump to tech, throw tech at all your problems kind of thing. It's not always the best. I think that it can be an amazing enabler and personal digital assistant to the mission, but I'm saying stop throwing more tools, because what happens is you actually create more complexity. Often you probably get this, Andrea, we're a complex organization, we're challenged to get work done, we're looking to Agile to help solve some of that, but then when you just throw more tech at it, creates even more. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah, because then you're trying to learn a new piece of technology while you're simultaneously learning a new process, and it's too much mental overload. I always come back to the line from the Agile Manifesto: individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Get people together and let them talk, and then use those interactions to decide what your process should be, to decide what tools and technology will actually support the people inside the system, but don't try to design the system around the technology.
Yeah, and some of the tech to get started could be sticky notes, right?
Yeah.
Very
There's some
low
very
tech.
high tech sticky notes now. Like they'll stick in the rain and all this stuff. So if you feel like
Yeah,
you need the tech, go get the awesome sticky notes and you're good.
exactly. It's pretty sure that's what led to the Kanban board potentially. But all right, so I'm saying start understanding capability levels of the tech and selecting the technology that goes on the journey with you, that can evolve with you, right? It might, and I think you need to have that sort of holistic vision of what that future looks like, but starting and then picking that right technology fit. What do you see? How do you typically give recommendations to organizations on tech?
Yeah, I often will say verbatim, start with sticky notes. Just, if you
Yeah.
can, put sticky notes on a wall and move them around. It's a lot easier to erase things on a dry erase board than set up an entirely new workflow in a piece of technology. And so once you do that for a little while, you know what you need. You're a much better shopper. You're a much more informed consumer of technology. So the thing you actually end up buying will support you because you know what you need instead of trying to retrofit process onto a tool.
Yeah, and so from a future standpoint now, I mean, we actually Aprimo works with a lot of enterprise level. They've been doing this for a long time, and they need that technology to help scale. So there's some really cool things happening right now with artificial intelligence and this whole idea of humans and machines working together. This idea of there's like this. So you do my crystal ball. There's like this new era of a project manager that, again, digital native in the workforce. They expect tech to be there, and they trust the technology. The technology's evolved, and now we have things like artificial intelligence that can do things, I would say, better than humans, right? And allow the human to then focus on things more like strategy and priorities and things that aren't learned by machines well. And there's something about technology that's always on, doesn't break for lunch, it works through the night, and can see things that you can't with your 150-degree human vision there. So what are your thoughts? Like, what do you see in your future crystal ball with advancements in tech helping orgs be more agile?
Yeah, it's one of the types of waste that we would want to remove in a lean system is over processing, which is manual processes that could be automated or machinized, whatever, given over to the machine
like that, yeah.
to handle.
Yeah.
But it's a form of waste you can take out of the system to free up the people in it to do more exciting and innovative things that humans do really well. And so all of these AI and machine learning capabilities, I think we should think of as a supplement, as a way to get that waste out of the system so that we can deliver more value ultimately at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think develop that value in a more predictable way, in a scalable way, because you're looking at, when you take it a team of 5 up to 2 teams of 5 to 50 teams of 5 or 10, 5 teams of 10, when you start to do that, you layer on the human capital associated with getting work done. And so, yeah, naturally you want to offload some of that to the machine. So I definitely see, that happening at a quicker rate going into 2020. So a lot to talk on tech. Let's talk now when we think about industry considerations, and let's say, organizations who say, hey, I'm in a regulated industry. I've got compliance needs. It could be with the FDA. It could be with, FINRA for financial services. But I'm complex and I need to be this way. But I'm saying stop thinking just because, and this is I don't mean to project this on an organization, but slower to adopt some of these capabilities, maybe like financial services at one point in time, although I'm seeing FS really pick it up. But saying, because of my industry, this won't work for me. I'm saying we need to stop doing that. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I think that regulation is not a deal breaker. we work with a lot of highly regulated pharma, finance companies that, yes, you're not going to be doing the we release 3 times a week schedule.
Yeah.
That's not going to be your version of agility, but that doesn't mean that you can't get there, that you can't get to a truly agile, high performing system, even if you're not doing the sort of hyper speedy release cycle that you might expect from a tech company. Agility comes in all shapes and sizes. And so, yeah, I think that that's both my like stop and start. So, stop using regulation as an excuse and start somewhere. Start seeing what will actually work for you in the short term. And whenever we have clients that come up against this, their question is always, well, we can be as agile as we want, but then we're going to have to hand it off to legal or compliance or what have you. And they're not. And then what? And I'm like, okay, well, you have plenty to fix over here. Once you fix all the stuff that you can fix, then we can go worry about the rest of the system. But you've got a lot in house to deal with. So start there, and then eventually it will expand.
Yeah, and start. How I think about it, when I think about certain industries with regulation, with compliance, I get to a metaphor of, it's a sports analogy, let's say, like football, running routes, right? I want to put these two words up against each other. It's reactive and responsive. I think agile, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but agile is not reactive. Agile, when done well, is responsive. And what do I mean by that? I mean, when these things happen in my organization, I know exactly what to do. Like, I know the route to run. Whenever this economic factor hits, when this regulation change happens, when this constraint driven down by an executive or a constraint that's found within work getting done, you've got, we'll call it the predefined playbook ready to go. And you can now sort of manage this balance of time, response, and these audible mid-game changes. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, that's like, for me, that really defines Agile.
Yeah, and I think that you can take it even farther to say that when something brand new happens for which you don't have a play written, agility would allow you to experiment with new options quickly, and then to learn what's going to work and what's not, to solve this unforeseen problem in this unexpected scenario. And then that will be part of your playbook for the next unexpected thing. And so you become a learning organization in a way that's really vital.
Yeah, I love that. And I think now's the time. From a breakthrough standpoint, there's a lot of, I mentioned that research from Gartner and Forrester, and the idea of being able to win in these turns. There's a lot of change that we need to be prepared with. So ultimate preparation. So I'm saying continue in the future. Agile or agility is really highly disciplined approach where you're managing this, we'll call it yin and yang, this agility and compliance working together in a balance.
And disciplined. I love that description of it, is continue being disciplined in the adoption and application of agile practices, because it's not just running around being fast and kind of reactive and crazy. There is a rigor and a discipline to the way that you work in an agile system that allows you to still be compliant, to still meet the expectations while moving faster.
Awesome. Okay, let's go to our next topic here. Departmental versus enterprise. Let's be a little bit more rapid fire on this one, I'm thinking. So stop thinking agility can't scale. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, must stop. It does, right? Like, no excuses. There's lots of ways to do this. And just my book next year is all this. Like, take it from a team of 1 to a team of 50 or 50 teams, whatever you have. There's a path. It can be done.
Awesome. And start visioning holistically from the beginning, right? If we're just thinking about today versus the future, you can't be that learning organization. You can't give yourself that permission to be a student. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and you, oh, I totally flew out of my head there. Nope, I lost what I was going to say. Dang, it'll come back to me. It'll come back to me.
And then continue recruiting support, finding advocates, and then I use this term, I call it weaponizing, but it's like you give people the success story or the data, right? The proof point that says this is working. So if you continue to market inside for change, that's what we need to be doing going forward.
Yeah. Oh, I remember my start. It was start as you mean to go on. So if you're going to build agile teams that are fully functioning and dedicated, you cannot part-time pilot. You can't grab people to be agile half-time and assume that's going to work. If you want to be fully agile in the future, you need to start with a pocket of true agility. That's my start.
That's good. It's an all-in, right? 2 feet in, all-in mindset. There's no going back. Well, I guess there's going back, but you've got to have that mindset that this is it. I like that a lot. All right, let's go and let's finish up here with measurement. You know, we talked about measurement when we started. I think this is really what it's all about. I mean, take the hype of the methodology, the terms, et cetera, set them aside and get back to why you're really your why, which is measurement, which is, you know, metrics, KPIs, indicators of success, new sets of data to bring that visibility. So I'm saying stop starting, which is what are your terms, Andrea, and start finishing strong with data. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so many folks don't have the data about their current state. And so when they try to implement agile frameworks or practices, they don't have a good before and after comparison. So before you start agile, take a snapshot. Like start with the understanding of where you are so that when you do the hard work of transforming to a more agile way of working, you can actually tell that it helped because you've got this, you know, we release X percentage faster, or we have so many fewer rounds of revision, or our throughput is up X%. You have all of this information, and that's really going to help you make the case to people outside of marketing who may or may not be down with the process you're trying to implement. And it's just so very powerful.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. So I'm saying these retrospectives, what we're doing today, they're so powerful. The postmortems, it's like when you see your organization just continuing to walk forward, to not stop, to slow down, to speed up, then that's a breakthrough moment. Like you say within yourself, I'm going to stop, I'm going to think. So I'm saying the post-mortem is just as hot as Post Malone going forward. And then continue, let's finish up this. Efficiency, cycle time, throughput, work in progress, limits. What do you think 2020 in the future, what do you think those metrics and KPIs from a measurement standpoint really need to be? We started with I'll call them the True North three, but what do you think, other than the big three go forward, we need to be looking at?
If we can do work in progress limits, if marketers can actually apply limits to how much we are simultaneously working on, we will change our lives and change the world. Like that's my whatever. Go Google it. We don't have time to explain it all or do it here, but Google work in progress limits and go and do it right now. And your 2020 will be spectacular. I promise.
Yeah, exactly. That's an amazing metric. When you know that, you become I did this, you know, with my creative team, my marketing organization, you become so self-aware. And Andrea, you do triathlon too. You're an athlete, and, you know, just put on the heart rate monitor, put on the GPS device, just start to collect your data, right? Start to become self-aware of yourself, your organization, your operation, know where you are, and then at least have a starting point, WIP limit, and then know now that you can take action on specific elements of your operation to then increase that WIP limit. And when you start to open that WIP limit, right, how good does that feel?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's all about measurement. All right, so let's land the plane here in advance to what I love me a good dashboard. So I was playing around with Aprimo.
You are such a CMO. CMOs, they love them some dashboards.
Yes, I was playing around with Aprimo here, and I came up with my awesome dashboard. It's got the key 3, and then all my other indicators and dials, and it's a complete sort of diagnostic view of my team. And I think this is really it. This is, now you've got the visibility. Now you can truly manage. So, I mean, I think this is really, when we think about agile marketing going forward, it's about the metrics and the data visualization around work.
Yep.
With that, I'll throw it back, Iran, throw it back over to you, and let's open up the phone lines for questions.
Yeah, if
Phone line. That's funny.
Any
phone lines, yeah.
Feel free to raise your hand and we'll dial you into the phone line. There already are some questions or maybe comments. Let me read through these. Let's see. What is Andrea's view regarding agile frameworks? Hearts
Pro.
a lot more
I'm
questions.
pro agile frameworks.
You're pro them. Awesome.
I'm just joking. So I'm a big hybrid proponent of taking getting a broad understanding of the options. So Scrum, Kanban, Lean, and understand them all so that you can make intelligent choices about what aspects of them will work in the context you're working in. We've even started developing a custom one that we use for clients where you can do kind of a flow or a Kanban style until you don't want to, until you want to go into a sprint series for whatever reason. And then you can return to flow. And that's a bit unorthodox, but it's still agile. It's still building on the principles of why we would want to work in this particular way, but just customizing it to be more applicable to marketing. And I think that's what frameworks are for, is to help you work better regardless of how you work.
Awesome. There is another part to that question. What is the trend in terms of adoption for marketing? Which ones are becoming more mainstream? Is it Scrum? Is it Kanban, Scrumban?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We're fielding right now, Ed and I's teams are fielding the State of Agile Marketing Survey for 2020. So we'll have more data for you soon. But according to our 2019 numbers, about 32% total adoption inside of marketing, and actually far and away the most common system for that is a hybrid approach. Scrum and Kanban kind of off the shelf, not very commonly seen. A lot of the clients we work with start with Scrum because it's very well known, it's easy to get information about, but they quickly realize they need to fiddle with it to make it work. So hybrids are the most common and actually the most beneficial for marketing. And that would be always my recommendation is go in with that expectation that you're going to be hybridizing at some point very soon.
Awesome.
Hybridizing.
Love it.
I'm making up words today.
Dan Driscoll has another question. He said he joined late, but can you revisit the Kanban efficiency KPI?
Oh, the efficiency score that you were talking about, Ed, I think is what he's asking about. You wanna take that one?
Yeah, sure. So there's task efficiency score, and then there's team efficiency score. Essentially it's how good you are at burning down that work, and then from an individual level and then from a team level standpoint. And that just shows probably, I think that's one of the, if not the key metric, right? In times of, well, any time, right? In upturns, downturns, always being able to say, I'm getting the most out of the team, and that we are doing high quality work. The individuals within the team are doing high quality work, and the design of our process is such that we are, producing the most we possibly can, and we don't put things into our day-to-day that burn teams out, that have, I don't know, Andrea, is there too much slack time? Would you ever say? Is there such thing as too much slack?
I suppose there has to be a point where no one's working, and then you're probably too far. But slack, You're right. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, you need some slack, but not too much slack, obviously, because you're getting the work done. So I think that's really it. It's the health indicator of getting work done high quality work done well.
And we didn't show it here, but the equations for all of those, there's an AgileSherpa's blog post that shows you how to calculate all of those things if you want to check that out.
Yes. Yeah, we've got them.
Sure we can put it in the email that we follow up with everybody.
Yeah, and in the slides afterwards, we've got the dashboards of which those calculations are used to serve up those dashboards. So we get the visualization, not just the calc for you. Great question.
Dan said thank you. Doug Larson says, not a question, but check out Disciplined Agile Delivery. Maps perfectly as a toolkit and a framework. So something for you both.
Dad, yeah. So that's one of the scaling frameworks, of which there are several. So yeah, definitely on the list of things to look at as you're finding ways to implement.
Okay, I think that's the last one. We answered all of them. Well, thank you everyone for your time today. I do have one takeaway. Agile Sherpas is doing a new survey next year with Aprimo. It's the state of agile marketing. We will be sharing a link out if you want to be part of that survey, part of the research, so we can learn and see, how teams can get more efficient, be more agile, and start working better going into the future.
Yes, very excited. This is our 3rd year running this report, so we've got some good year-over-year stuff to share, or will have in around March. So would love for everybody to go and tell us how you're using Agile or not using Agile. That's also a relevant answer to manage your work. And then you'll get early access to the report when it comes out as well.
And I'll just say, if you haven't read Andrea's book, Death of a Marketer, do that. And then your new book is coming out in June. Mm-hmm. Are you able to talk about the title of it or give any?
Yeah, so it's called Mastering Marketing Agility. And it's really about, we've trained, I just did the math the other day, we're close to 2,000 marketers we've trained at AgileSherpas now. And this is a distillation of the good, the bad, and the ugly of all of that, and what the framework and the adoption path needs to be for marketers, whether you're one team or whether you're 100 teams. There's a path for you to the summit of marketing agility.
That's awesome. I can't wait to read that. And also, from an Aprimo standpoint, we live this, breathe this. We're building that technology to allow marketing organizations, creative teams, and those who are designing the experience, those who are running operations across marketing and the enterprise, to have these agile capabilities embedded within their digital workplace. So always pioneering. And it was awesome to have you on, Andrea. I really appreciated seeing you and talking with you and closing out the year on such an awesome topic.
Yeah, very, very cool. And I have to, I'm like a proud parent with the dashboards, because I've worked with your team and I know how hard you guys have worked to make Agile part of the way that you do things, and very exciting to see that it's really part of your DNA these days. So very cool.
Made it real. Awesome.
Great. Thank you guys so much. And thank you to all the attendees as well. Look out for our next breakthrough webinar, and we'll have a good day. Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.